Hi there, this video is just a quick first impressions look at AppSense's version 10 of their DesktopNow product. It's sort of like an unboxing. I've never even looked at this before, so I thought I'd grab the hold of the software, unpack it onto one of my VMwares and have a quick look at it. So I thought may as well record it at the same time and let you guys have a look at it as well. So what we're going to do is just log onto this machine. So I'm logging on as an admin, and we'll just log onto this machine and take a look. So, quite simple, Active Directory, it's just my demo lab that I have set up here, so it's my demo lab. I've got some desktops and servers on here. So, first things first, let's go and have a look at the software. So, I've already got this software, I've already unpacked it, grabbed a hold of it, so we can see it's here. So this is the June software about a month ago, and here we can see the setup program. Let's just run the setup and see how we go with this. So nice new fancy graphic there for AppSense DesktopNow, and we'll just wait for this to fire up. We'll minimize this down. So here's our installer. So it all looks pretty basic, new pretty graphics on here. So go next and we'll accept the license agreement. Okay, so we've got an evaluation where we can go and install evaluation, advanced, or we can put the clients and the consoles on only. So all pretty standard so far. We'll go advanced and click next, and we can see which products that we want to install. So we're just going to take the whole lot, and if we expand out, yeah, we can see we've got the consoles. Oh, that looks a little bit new. We can add in a new instance, server instance now. So if we've already got an existing AppSense install, we can add in a new management server instance. I'm guessing, yeah, there's one for personalization server instance as well, an application manager on the web services, etc. So we'll just take the whole lot. Oops, let's hit next. Okay, and next. And I've already got a remote SQL install set up, so here's my SQL management. I've got one already set up. So we'll just use our remote SQL. I don't want to install a local. Next. Okay, so we've got a few prerequisites that need to be installed, so I'm just going to click install them all. So we've got the 2013 redistributables, and it looks like I need the IIS parts as well. Destination folder, yeah, we'll just take the standard, and off we go and we install this. While that's running through, I'm just going to also connect up to my SQL server, so my management server, so I can see what's going on when we go through the installation. So here we are, my database engine, database, and we'll just connect up there. If we take a look at my databases, you can see it's bog standard, straight standard install, and I'm using SQL 2000, and just double check here, SQL Server, I think it's 2012 that we're using here. Yes, it is SQL Server 2012. So we'll keep that open because we can keep coming back to that. Okay, so the installer's finished installing all of its consoles, etc., and we've got to this point here. So it's saying we need some server prerequisites to go on here. So we need IIS dynamic compression and Windows Class Foundation 4.5. Interesting that the buttons here are grayed out, but it is saying here install all, and you might miss this, and it caught me a little bit by surprise, but there's a little button, little hyperlink here to say install them all. So okay, in we go. So it's installing the server prerequisites now. Okay, so that took about 2 minutes, about a minute to 2 minutes to install, and we've got install complete. And now we've got a brand new screen by the looks of this here. So I'm taking a look at this, trying to work out how it works. So we've got configure servers via the portal. So what have we actually installed? Let's have a quick look. So we search for AppSense, and let's just refine that search out so we can see. So what's actually been installed? Now normally you get the software configuration utility SKU. So because we installed a personalization server and we installed a management server, I'd normally expect to see them, but they are missing. We'll see we've got the application manager, environment management console, and the performance manager consoles, but no SKUs. But there is this new one here called a server configuration portal. So that's kind of interesting. So let's just go back to our desktop. And you can see here, server configuration. So configure servers via the portal. So it's looking like that AppSense now is doing all its configurations via web interfaces. So we'll click this one here. Let's see what we get. It's taking its time. It looks like it's resolved it. And interesting. So yes, we have now got a web interface. This looks kind of nice. So okay, so I'm guessing let's put ourselves in. So demo lab/administrator. Put a password in. Very interesting. So it's very much like Server Manager in 2012. So okay, so we got some red boxes here straight away in my face. We can see unconfigured server instances. Well, it makes sense, we've got no instances. So this is the management section and this is the personalization section. Unconfigured, no databases, we've got one server instance, but unconfigured. That all kind of makes sense. We've got a nice little tree view here. Okay, so management servers. So let's have a look in our management servers. We've got demo lab, which is my domain controller here. This little icon here. So it's obviously working away. Okay, oh, I see how this is working. So default, if I expand out here, we have a default and it's unconfigured. What happens if we expand this default out and we have an encryption option? Okay, so, and I'm guessing that personalization servers are set as pretty much the same as well, yes. So it looks like what we've got here is the personalization SKU and the management SKU from version 8 has now disappeared and moved into a web portal. So I suppose the first thing we need to do is set up some databases. Let's take a look at the management databases. What options have we got in here? Okay, so that's sort of making sense. So create new. So it looks like we're going to create ourselves a new management database. I'm guessing we're going to get the old SKU options appear into here. If that's the case, we're going to need a service account. So while that's waiting for that, let's see if we can create a service account. Users, we're adding a new user. All tasks, new user. We'll call this AppSense service. Yeah, and we'll give this a password, and we'll just set these up. Okay, so we've got an AppSense service account because I'm going to guess we're going to need that. So we'll take that down. Okay, so what we got? New database, friendly name, server instance. So that's just picked that straight up, so that's good. The SQL browsing must be enabled. We'll give it a friendly name, so this is going to be AppSense Management Center, so we'll call this AppSense AMC. Configuration account, so yes, this was following very much the same as the old SKU. So domain user, so demo lab /administrator, password, Windows authentication, SQL authentication, yep. And we'll hit a check on that. Well, that's nice, we've got a nice little green tick. Database name. Okay, so we want to give it a database. We'll call it the same as a friendly. So we'll call it AppSense AMC. Service account, we're at service account we've created. I knew was probably going to need that. So this again, app/AppSense service. Yep, and give it its password. Check. That's interesting. That hasn't quite worked. We definitely do have that account sat here. So here's our Active Directory. We shouldn't have to need to wait for replication because we've only got one domain controller here. AppSense service. AppSense service. There's no browse button in here, which is a bit of a shame. Perhaps because it's not been set up on the database yet. Let's hit the create button and see what happens. Oh, nice pretty graphic going on here. So yes, certainly a definite improvement from the old SKU. One simple place to do it all. So I'm quite liking this so far. Oh, so we're completed. So let's hit finish. So the fact that our service account couldn't be verified is quite interesting, but it's gone through. So let's take a look at our AppSense AMC. So there it is set up. So our window account, let's just check the name. Okay, so you can see what's going on here. So actually the check on here is that this is, by the looks of it, checking against the AppSense database to see whether this service account has been set up and configured to the AppSense database. So hence, after the event, the check works. Might want to change that a little bit, AppSense. Yeah, I'll make that a bit clearer at the beginning. So let's take a look at our SQL. Let's hit an F5 on there. Databases. And here's our AppSense AMC. Database tables, so pretty familiar. Yeah, I don't think much has changed in here. I think everything looks pretty familiar there. And take a look at our security, our users. Yeah, we can see that the AppSense demo account, service account has been set up there, so that looks all familiar. Okay, so we've got an AMC database set up. So let's just go back to our top level. And okay, so now we have a database, we have a server, we've got a server instance, but we've got an unconfigured server. So I'm guessing we need to go down into our management servers here. So click our demo lab domain controller, which is our AppSense management server. Okay, so it's a default, so this is the default underneath the domain controller. AMC default unconfigured, so I'm guessing we can click both of these. Let's take a look. Okay, so state is not configured. So okay, we have our host header domain, port number, authentication, and database connection. So that's the only AMC database we've got. So I'm guessing we just hit the create connection button. So I'm checking to see the version of the database. This should be setting it all up so that this domain, this AMC connects directly into this AMC database. So far so good. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I do like the new web interface. It's much more intuitive. A few little things that could be tweaked, and I'm sure they will tweak them in the next versions of this. But certainly I can see where AppSense are going with this now. And work completed. We'll hit finish on that. Okay, so what have we got now? Default. Okay, so status is online, logging disabled, variances none detected, and this is our URL that goes through to there. So let's click on that URL, see what we get. Okay, interesting. So we're not allowed to list the contents of this directory. Looks like we need a bit of IIS work. It doesn't quite look like that the configure has set that all up for us out of the box. But we'll come back to that. Let's take a look. Okay, but everything else seems okay. So let's connect up and see what we get. So AppSense Management Console. We'll just pin this to our start menu. And let's connect in. Nice new graphics. Let's see if we've actually got. Oh, straight away I can see here we've got a very office grey type format going on here. Looks like a very new look and feel to it. Let's connect up a standard user. Yeah. Okay, I've got no AppSense licenses installed on here. We knew that because we didn't go for the evaluation. That's fine for the moment. This is just a quick out-of-the-box look and feel. I'm not actually going to do anything major with this at the moment. So let's just expand this out and take a look, and we'll minimize this one down. Yes, definitely got a office grey theme going on here. I actually quite like it. It looks quite nice, much more professional rather than all the gary colours all over the place that AppSense getting comments about. Okay, so deployment groups. Everything looks pretty much the same as it used to look. You know, a few graphical changes. Things have moved around a little bit. We can see insight down here as well. So let's take a look. let's go and create a deployment group. So new deployment group. Yeah. So we'll call this desktops. Okay. Well, configuration, membership rules. Desktops, we'll edit. Yeah, everything's looking pretty much the same as in the old version 8. So we can go in Active Directory container, browse. It's my demo lab domain, desktops. We'll take the whole of the desktop directory structure. Okay, submit. Okay, so yep, all looking pretty much the same. Packages. So agents, yep. So we're still using. So I can see the major thing here with version 10, certainly first impressions, is pretty much the base build underneath is pretty much the same as version 8, but there's a lot of graphical and the configuration. You can see where AppSense are moving towards the web here. Certainly it looks promising. So yeah, we'll use that agent. That's 32-bit one and 64-bit agent, and we'll do the same on here. Same on here. Yeah. So this looks familiar for those that are used to AppSense. We've seen this before, so this looks very nice. Review and submit it. Yeah. Okay. So what else has changed in here? Has anything else changed? Settings. So we've got our upload and download polls. They're good. Deployments. Yep. And self-registration, etc. is all here. That's good. Agent installs. Yeah, we can see those set there. Custom failovers and auditing. Has this changed at all? No, pretty much the same. So everything looks the same on there. Global settings. Yep, access credentials all look the same. We've got some nice new move up and down arrow buttons looking here now. These look nice. Membership rules, we've been in there. All computers. Licensing. Okay, so that looks pretty much the same. Add license. Oh, that looks a little bit different. Instead of adding it directly into the box here, now we put it there. And our events. Yep. Packages. Yep. All looks very familiar. Prerequisites. That's nice there. Alerts. Yep. And security side of things. So everything looks pretty much the same as version 8, but I do like this new look and feel. It looks very nice. Okay, so let's move on to personalization. So we'll keep that open. Okay, I think we can close this down now. Finish that. Oh, actually takes this nicely off to AppSense Help. We don't need that, so we'll take that out. Okay, so let's move down into personalization server. I'm guessing this is going to be pretty much the same. So let's have a look. I do like this. This is nice now. We've got it all in one place, all of the SKUs. Let's create new. So we want a personalization server. So we called the last one AppSense AMC. We'll call this one AppSense Personalization, I think. It must be gathering the information. Doing the I've got a funny feeling at this stage it's doing the prerequisites test. Before in the old SKUs, is prerequisite. Okay, so AppSense Personalization. We'll take that and we'll take a copy of that because I think we're going to want that. So we'll put that down here. Let's have a look. It's loading. Yeah, we'll stick it in there. Now we've got to wait for that by the looks of it. So we want an instance, that instance. Yep, check. We've got that. Databases, 5 databases. Yep, so we're on the right instance. That's good. But we're going to call this one our AppSense Personalization. And again, we want AppSense Service. Put a password in. I'm going to guess this is going to. Oh, this time it's worked. Ah, yes, because the account's been registered into the SQL instance. Yeah, I can see what's going on there. So the first time, if you get a service account, by the looks of it, the first time you've got a brand new database and you put your service account in, it's not going to work unless you pre-set up the permissions. Second time round, etc., it's going to work. Oh, cool. Let's hit the create button on that. Okay, so while that's going on, let's go and take a look at one of the consoles. So we'll take a look at the AppSense Application Manager console. Okay, so we've got the grey theme with a nice big red border. Okay, as we all know, AppSense Application Manager is red. Okay, I like it. That looks nice. Okay, what changes have we got in here? I'm just looking for immediate things. This is not a deep dive. This is just initial impressions. So yeah, nice new menu system. Nice. So anything stands out here? System centers in here. Configuration from group policy. Nice. Need to have a play around with that. I've not played around with that. Okay, everything else looking nice in there. What else we got? So we've got our rules, group rules, users, device, custom, scripted, processes. We've got our endpoint analysis, privilege discovery, rules analysis. So everything looks pretty much the same as it was before. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be some additional changes in here that we're not seeing straight off the bat. But yep, everything sort of looks very familiar. Obviously, graphical changes definitely going on here. So let's just see if we can go and add a user in. Add a user rule. Browse. User 1. Yep. Okay, so yep, we're very familiar with all of this. Looks very interested. Browser control. Okay. User privileges. Trusted vendors. Okay, so looks very familiar to version 8, previous versions, obviously with graphical differences going on here. But we'll take a further deep dive into this on another video. Okay, so let's now come back into our web interface. Okay, so our personalization database has been created there. So finish on that. And I'm guessing we're going to need to go down to our personalization server itself. And we're going to need to create the connection between the personalization server and the database. Yep, and here we are. Okay, so here's yet another port. So we've got a whole load of different port numbers going on here. We're going to have to start remembering. Let's create instance. So I think the main one is 7750, which is your portal, server configuration portal. SCP, we have to get used to calling it that now, instead of SKU. Okay, and we're creating our server instance. Okay, and we finished. So let's take a look. So this is our default for this particular server. Okay. Oh, clicked it again. Okay, so login's disabled, no variances. Yes, I think all that time it's taken when you first click in, I think it's doing all the variance checking. Let's take a look. We've got a new URL. It's interesting. So, different port number. Okay. Very interesting. This is brand new. I've not seen anything like this before. This is going to take a little bit. So what we got here? Looks like we got personalization options. So a little bit like the browser, EM browser. You can see we got like a bit of an update going on here. So what we got? So we've got personalization operations, home. So we click on the home, which is by the looks of it here. So we've got a personalization summary, personalization groups, total managed users, the database scheme. Oh, I like this. This looks very nice. We can select by username. Gives us the application groups and the settings and when it was last backed up. We can change the backups and current user settings. We've got global options here for deleting backups and configurations of the backups. Okay, user rules. So I can see this being extremely useful for support staff, for managing user personalization. This looks extremely interesting. And migration status, and we can export out for nice for reporting. And we can see that we've got progress and tasks to be run down here. So this is certainly something for a brand new video to take a further look at this. So I can see this actually being the EM browser replacement. Very nice indeed, and I do like the interfaces. Looks nice and pretty. So, okay, so let's take a look at the EM console. Not seen that. I'm quite excited to see what the EM console looks like. Environment Manager console. I'm expecting this to be grey with green. Yes, and there it is. So that looks nice there. So let's straight in to personalization and take a look. So personalization, connect. It's defaulted that nicely for me. That's nice. Yes, we'll log on as a demo user. Okay, so yeah, very much cleaner looking interface, pretty much the same as the application manager one. I do like this. It's more professional looking, would I say, rather than multiple colours all over the place. Do like this. So our personalization groups. Yeah. So everything looks very familiar. Application groups. So let's go and create ourselves a personalization analysis. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so this looks all familiar. Let's go and add in a personalization group. We'll call this test users. So settings. Okay, yeah, very familiar from version 8.6. So when I say version 8, I mean 8.6. The latest version 8 one of the software, not all the way back to 8.3. Obviously there's major differences between membership rules, personalization. Yeah, everything's looking very familiar here. So if we go in and applications, add an application by name, advanced. So we'll call this Notepad. Windows / system 32 / pad. We'll do that, and we'll go .exe. Okay, yep. So this looks very familiar. So if we can then go into our applications, we can add an existing. Yeah. And Windows personalization, has this changed much? This all looks extremely familiar. Yes, so we can add our conditions in here. Conditions, computer, is laptop. Yes, okay, okay. And there's our condition there. And there's our registry settings and folders, descriptions for Explorer settings. So we can then probably go into our test users, Windows personalization, add Explorer settings, okay. Conditional, yes. Okay, so that looks extremely familiar. And our default sites. Okay, let's have a quick look at the policy side of things. What have we got in here? So let's just, okay, so we've got our pre-sessions, so pretty much the same as before in 8.6, pre-session, pre-desktop. So let's just go desktop created, we'll add a node in here. What I'm interested in to see if there's any conditions or actions that have been added. So custom execute, so custom actions. We have PowerShell, VBScript and JScript. Yep. What else we got in here? Execute, all looks pretty much the same, so I can't see any changes there. Actions, drives and printers. So mapping drives and mapping, setting defaults, yep. Environment variables, set environments, yep. File and folder, copy, create, modify, text file update, folder redirection. Has that changed much? Doesn't look like it. What else we got in here? Actions, ODBC, Outlook. Oh, this looks interesting. These are new by the looks of this. Create Outlook 365 profile. Profile name, username, additional mailboxes, cache mode. Yep. That looks like something to play around with. Create profile, liking these. So it looks like we've got some, definitely got some new Outlook information setups going on here. Set an Outlook signature. Well, we're definitely going to have some playing around here and seeing how to test this out. This could be extremely useful to some of our customers. registry, self-heal, shortcuts, shortcut management, import shortcut wizard, pin items. Yep, that's nice. Can't remember if that was any 8.6 or not. Conditions and 4.x wizard at v 4.x wizard, playing around the OSD file. Okay, now any new conditions we got in here? Conditions is VDI, I think that was in 8.6. MAC addresses in here, IP addresses, yeah. Custom, obviously VB script, JScript, and PowerShell, I'm guessing. OU membership, environment, date and time. Folder exists, flow control, if, key exists, session, client session, VM variables, Citrix vdisk client settings, Citrix client settings. These are, can't remember if they were in 8.6 or not, but they look quite interesting. VM variables, URL, yeah. This is a nice set of conditions in here. These could be extremely useful. And user conditions, yep. Lockdown. Okay, so obviously there's probably a lot more going on in here, but that's just a very quick and dirty, just diving through the console, having a look at the conditions, the new bits that stick out straight away. So quite interesting. So my take on this, just like I said, this is almost a quick unboxing video for AppSense version 10. That's the first time I've taken a look at it. I thought I'd create a video on the fly to go and do it. First impressions is it's very certainly new GUIs coming in here. I can see where AppSense are going with this. I personally think it's a lot more professional, a lot less scary colours on here, but I can certainly see where they're pushing now towards the modern way of doing it with web-based interfaces. So the SKU, definitely this is a major change in which I very much approve of. I do like this the way of managing it all from a single central place. The GUI controls on version 10, obviously it's really toned them down on there, and I do like those on there, but I can see very much it's version 8.6 of DesktopNow enhanced into the web, and then also with different GUI controls, and by the looks of it some very nice looking VDI, Citrix, and some Outlook profile mapping going on there as well. So I'm going to end this video now, and I'm going to probably spend the next couple of days playing around with this a lot more to try and find out all the hidden new benefits in here, because I'm sure there's a lot more than obviously that springs to mind on here. So thank you, and talk to you next time.